Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us for the first Primelight webinar. Today, we're going to give you an overview of our emergency lighting range, which will be led by Ben Williams, who is our resident emergency lighting expert, so I'm told. So thanks for joining us. I'm just going to give you a brief overview of Primelight for those of you who may not know everything about what we do. So our agenda today is a brief overview, as I said. We're going to look at some of the legal implications and the reasons why buildings need emergency lighting. We'll look at the products within the range and some of their functions. And then we will talk briefly about our supplier who's been fully vetted to give you a little bit more insight into what they do and how they do that. And then we'll hand over to Ben to talk about any questions. And if you do have questions, if you can use the chat function on the right-hand side, we will then answer all of those at the end. So if I give you a very brief introduction to Primelight, who are we and what are we all about? For those of you that don't know, Primelight is a component solutions provider to the lighting industry. The business was established in 1992 and now has a market-leading position in the supply of high-quality components to the lighting industry. As a component solutions provider, Primelight has a vast product range covering everything needed to build a luminaire or a spotlight through to all of the elements needed for an integrated and efficient installation. This includes everything from gear trays to drivers, LED boards, wiring and connectors, through to lighting controls, optics, lighting track, and latterly emergency solutions. Exclusive distribution agreements with a number of global manufacturers, which also gives us an unrivaled range of products, which is from trusted, audited, and reliable sources. Primelight has a vast UK warehousing facility, and at any one moment, we're holding over 2 million stock items across the range of products that we offer. We also offer to our customers some design and some commissioning support, and we work very closely with all of our customers to support vendor consolidation and creating efficiencies within their supply chains. And Primelight prides itself as being positioned as a supply chain partner with UK lighting OEMs, contractors and wholesalers, and other industries, including caterers and facilities management. So quite a lot there to take in one go. Majority of people may know that, but just in case, I just wanted to give you that very brief overview. And if I go on very briefly to talk about Ben, Ben joined us earlier this year and has a wealth of experience in emergency lighting. This has covered not just the UK, but also Ireland and other areas within Europe. And Ben's got lots of experience working with OEMs, distributors, lighting designers, consultants, and system integrators. He's got an unbelievably in-depth knowledge of our range of products and all of the applications that they can be used in. And so I'll hand you over to him now and enjoy the presentation.
Thanks, Russell, and thank you everybody for joining. So the aim is just to use this time, focus sort of 30 minutes or so to give a view of the points that Russell highlighted in the agenda, but also to align a programme to follow up on moving forward on some key topic areas, and depending on which areas are highlighted most of interest to everybody. As Russell said, please feel free to ask questions as we go along. Not only should emergency lighting, the emergency lighting system be fit for purpose, but it also must meet the most stringent safety and compliance standards. So it is a legal requirement, and that legal requirement is outlined in the Fire Regulatory Reform Order, which says emergency routes and exits must be indicated by sign. Emergency routes and exits requiring illumination must be provided with emergency lighting of adequate intensity in case of failure of their normal lighting. So a bit of a mouthful, but in short, emergency lighting is a legal requirement. It's outlined in any risk assessment, and failure to provide it may result in prosecution. Now, of course, this isn't a scare tactic. However, we're all aware of instances where there's been substantial fees and penalties which have been imposed, where there's been non-compliance, and this is what we want to avoid. If we move on to the next slide, we want to ensure that obviously we meet this legal requirement, and to ensure this, we need to make sure that the function of the emergency lighting is providing safety as its primary source, ensuring safety of whoever's occupying the premises, meeting all of the standards when it comes to the product and the application, but also to take into consideration the quality, longevity, and power consumed by the particular products, and how then this is maintained by effective testing and any replacements that are required and any maintenance that's needed moving forward. So whether that testing is manual or automatic, it needs to happen, but the maintenance is always important. The last 3 points sort of become particularly relevant when we look at choosing which product we're going to use, whether it's based on the technology or the warranty of that product. We need to ensure it's not only fit for purpose, but we look at obviously the benefits of any potential test systems that we incorporate those products with moving forward. But in my experience, it's knowing, allowing the end customer to know the purpose and the benefit of what's being put forward and what's being used. There's been instances in the past where, in particular, automatic test systems have been put in place, and whoever is in charge of that particular facility, whether that's the facilities management company or whether that's the caretakers at the school, they're not quite aware what the sole purpose of the automatic test system is. So that handover process becomes critical in ensuring it's the right product for the right job. So we'll move on to talk about the standards now, and there's a raft of standards, as you can expect, attached to emergency lighting. All of these need to be considered when we're looking at how the product has been manufactured and how we're going to use it. These standards are produced to ensure compliance, and they must be considered when we choose our products. They focus on the following key areas: so performance and safety requirements of the components, and that includes automatic test systems for use with emergency lighting systems, guidance on the areas that should be considered in design and installation and wiring, the provision of illumination of escape routes in the event of normal failure to supply, the European standard around the lux levels, so the particular lux levels which are required in open areas, in corridors and in high-risk task areas, the signage and code of practice, the luminaire specification details, the actual luminaire standard itself, and the layouts of the safety requirements for the battery and the control gears, so integral to the actual luminaires themselves. However, for extra comfort, third-party certification is also very important when we're discussing choosing which emergency lighting products that we're going to use. This was another strong consideration for us when we're choosing which partner that we worked with. So on the next slide, we'll see some logos and companies that you'll recognise. Obviously, investment in meeting the criteria outlined by these particular companies is an expensive process, but we believe that diligence is essential, really, to make sure that you've got the right product again for the right purpose, and it shows a recognition of quality, safety, and compliance of the products which are being used. So obviously the most common one on that screen is the CE mark, but sort of commonly misconstrued as sort of more of a badge of honor actually than what it is. It's actually only the compulsory minimum requirements that the product needs to meet. And so in terms of life safety critical product like emergency lighting, it was important that we aligned with a company who looked at the next stages, so how we can get extra accreditation of the products that we're using. So if we look at ENEC, ENEC is the European Norms Electrical Certification Standard, so that demonstrates compliance of these products with European standards. They're seen as a mark towards the highest safety standards. The KITE mark again takes that on a stage, a mark again of safety, quality and reliability. Importantly, with the KITE mark now, that's recognised by 60 national bodies, 140 certification body test laboratories in 43 countries, and really highlights ongoing testing in accordance to not only the British standards, the British electrical safety standards, but the international and European standards as well. So in overview, ENEC and KITE mark, global recognition of quality, compliance and safety. The DALI standard to ensure that then the products are scalable when we look at large addressable products moving forward. and one which will be of particular interest for those who are doing projects in the Middle East, which is civil defence approval, which is of course required to supply products into that particular region. Importantly, it's worth mentioning at this stage that each of these are applicable to every one of the products that we're going to discuss, which again is quite a big investment, but is also quite then unique in the marketplace. So moving on to a little bit about TM technology now. So when we were choosing our partner, all of the elements that we discussed were critical. Of course, we needed a brand to enhance our product offering. We also needed to be able to enhance that brand with the strong capabilities of our business. Critical to obviously an emergency lighting product set, we left no stone unturned on certification and legal requirements. TM Technology are experts in their field. They've been in business for nearly 20 years. And also importantly for ourselves as well, they're a European manufacturer. So that's vital for us in terms of the levels of communication that we have with them and also the supply chain moving forward. In terms of their manufacturing facility, they're a full front to back manufacturer. So they design, manufacture and develop everything on the products from start to finish in their facility just outside of Krakow. So that includes the electronic components which are within the products and also the plastic and metal housings that the products go in. Again, something which is quite unique compared to some of our competitors in the marketplace. So when we look at where these products are being used, there's 4 main areas that we need to consider with emergency lighting. So escape lighting, escape route lighting, open area lighting or anti-panic lighting, and high risk task area lighting. And for us, having a product set which can cover all of those bases of application, whilst also covering the different test functions, was a huge advantage. So we'll move on now to look at some of the key features and show how really the TM and PrimeLite range can add value to improve your emergency lighting. So we spoke about the European manufacturing, and there's also the flexibility of SKU reduction in the range that we have available. By this, you'll see later on that we have multiple different applications from one core product with the ability just to accessorize those products to make them more functional. And we have high lumen levels of performance, market leading truly in some of the different outputs in terms of the lumen output that we're able to offer, which we're going to explain a little bit more shortly. The ENIC and Kite Mark approval we've mentioned, warranties of up to 5 years. This is supported by the technology that we use, be that the batteries and the electronic technology that we have incorporated into the products. Each of the products is manual, it's available in manual test, self-test, Darley, central battery right the way through 24 to 230 volts, and also maintained and non-maintained applications. So again, covering all bases in terms of what you might come across. I mentioned that both battery technologies are used in the products. However, the NiCad variants are exclusive to very much the entry-level lumen package products, the entry-level technology products. So exclusive to the manual test variants. The rest of the product portfolio uses lithium batteries, which has huge advantages moving forward, such as the increased lifespan. So we're looking at going from 4 years on the legacy products like NiCad and nickel metal hydride up to 6 to 8 years. And in comparison to nickel metal hydride batteries, going from 300 to 1500 cycles, which is absolutely fantastic when again we look at one of the points I mentioned before about longevity of the products when it's in situ. And also importantly as well from a design point of view, they're available in different colours, so white, black and grey is standard, and then we do also have a premium range which is manufactured in stainless steel, which also adds that slight differentiator aesthetically. So now we'll move on to the product range itself. Just wanted to draw your attention initially to the 3 lens variants we incorporate in the product. So outside of the standard open area distribution, these are very much allow the flexibility to meet the different criteria outlined in the standards that we discussed. So you'll see the C, F and W lenses provide different distribution depending on the application. So escape routes over and above 7 meters, and then the W lens then given that specific illumination of fire points and end of escape routes. Okay, now moving on to the actual products themselves. I mean, obviously, emergency lighting has always been seen as a necessary evil, so to speak, in certain quarters, the less glamorous version of mains lighting. However, we hope to introduce with this range that not only covers safety and quality in the legal aspects, but also something which is aesthetically pleasing too. The first product in the range is the OnTek C. So this is a dedicated standalone self-contained recess solution. So again, available with the different optics that we discussed for open area, escape route and high risk task areas. Obviously this type of product aesthetically improves from the traditional approach of an 8-watt bulkhead, which we're all used to in a bygone day. There's an articulated module and battery pack, which obviously recesses through the ceiling tile from the aperture made by the lamp head itself. But importantly with this, I want to highlight the flexibility in the lumen package which are available. We go from 150 lumens right the way up to 374 lumens, so huge flexibility from one range. 374 really high up there in terms of what else is available in the marketplace, and that's represented in the rest of the standalone solutions that we offer as well. As we move on to the OnTek R, the next product, this is the first sign of the flexibility and accessorization, I suppose, of the product offering that I mentioned before. So the OnTek R in its first instance is a surface mount, self-contained standalone luminaire, but there is then an accessory pack to add on to that as you wish to use that then in a recessed application. And again, this product is available with 3 different lumen outputs under the different areas of type of emergency lighting available. So 150, 274, and then a really high output 528 lumen product. Each of these products, something which isn't mentioned previously, are available in both 1 hour for the European market and also 3-hour configurations as well. Moving on to the next product, this is a little bit of an amalgamation of both of the products that we spoke about, but a slightly different product to what else is available in the marketplace. So this is a linear profile, which is able to be surface mounted or recessed in terms of its application. You'll see there in the image in the top right hand corner how it's used nicely next to some of the track mounting, the track lighting, which is used in obviously a lot of retail applications. There's often some complexities with finding a standardized track mounted solution with the various different track options that yourselves as our customers are using. So whether that's Power Gear, whether that's U-Track, whether that's Global Track, whether that's Stucci. So we feel that this gives a nice option to be able to sit in a linear profile next to the track potentially, but also in ceiling tile profiles as well. Again, like I say, surface mount and recessed in terms of application. We'll move on now to the iTech product. So again, the iTech product is completely different in its application again. So apart from being recessed and standalone, apart from having the same criteria in terms of the varying different lumen outputs, this is also an IP65 solution, so really does open itself up for a new range of different applications, in particular some industrial type and back of house applications as well. It really also does start coming into its own when we're looking at applications over and above 7 or 8 meters high as well, with the different distribution of the different lumen outputs that we've got. But something which has been of particular interest so far has been the ability for this product to operate at cold temperature levels. So this will work right the way down to -15 degrees, or should I say a strain of this product will work right the way down to -15 degrees, which starts to open this type of solution up potentially for some more cold storage applications where historically people have had to, for want of a better phrase, bastardize current situation, current product sets, and look at extending the cables on the recessed lamp heads so that the module and the battery are then in a thermally accepted ambient temperature. This type of product is designed exactly for that purpose. So again, pulling in some of the features that we spoke about to start with. We'll be moving on now to the exit sign range. The OnTek G itself, again, multi-application product with the option to add different accessories. In its first instance, out of the box, this is a wall and surface mount product, so covering a couple of different types of applications. However, what you are able to do with the purchase of an additional accessory pack is then to use this product as a recessed or suspended product as well. So from a stocking point of view, and leaning on the message that we mentioned to start with about SKU reduction, this is perfect for that, because you may only need to stock one item or send to site one item, which you can then accessorize however you choose fit to meet the different application that it needs to be. The legend pack itself is also included in there as well, so it does really become a nice, neat, off the shelf solution. But again, obviously available in all of the different test functions that we mentioned. The OnTek E, which is the next product on the presentation, is a slightly more aesthetically pleasing or architecturally friendly exit sign, much smaller, although limited slightly in terms of its applications. This is more of a wall-mounted product, as it's pictured on the image on the right-hand side of the screen that you're looking at. So really for corridors and walkways. But again, as it says, it's a discreet and effective solution. Again, meeting all of the requirements which are needed and giving you that extra sort of string to the bow when we're looking at designs of schemes. Okay, so moving on. The OnTek S is the final product in terms of the standalone self-contained range that we'll discuss today. This product is probably the most flexible out of all of the ones that we have discussed. So not only is it available as a standard application, but as I mentioned with the iTek product, this is also available as a cold version as well. So available to operate at sub-zero temperatures. Out of the box, this is a bulkhead. Available then with a adhesive legend to use then as a wall-mounted emergency exit sign if needs be. But you can then accessorize this product then depending on what the application needs to be. So you can include a recess clip to recess this product. You can then add an additional drop-down flag legend as well, which all in all, potentially, if you put all the different parts together, you could have a IP65 drop-down emergency exit which operates at sub-zero temperatures potentially, or anything in between that and the standard product. So again, truly flexible for application, and importantly, again, this is considered with the different areas of emergency lighting that we need to consider. So with different anti-panic distribution, with different escape route distribution, and with different high-risk task area distribution as well, and with the range of lumen packages to support that. So the entry-level comparison to a typical 8-watt bulkhead with a sort of 134 lumens, right the way up to a super high power solution at sort of just shy of 550 lumens as well. Okay, so moving on. Moving on now, we talk a little bit about automatic testing. So this is one of the standards that we mentioned before. This is obviously becoming more and more critical in the current market, or people are certainly becoming more and more aware of this in the marketplace as we look to ensure compliance of the schemes that we're working with. There are systems available in the market which make the process of testing easier and less expensive. Of course, there's an upfront cost involved in this. However, the return on investment on long-term maintenance testing and savings, as well as the compliance and safety, far outweigh this certainly. As I mentioned, it's important that those who are involved in the decision making and ongoing upkeep of the system understand the role of the products and the benefit of the roles, and their role and their benefit in ensuring that the system is operational moving forward. 62034 is the automatic testing standard. We spoke about the DALI options before. Obviously, they work in line with this standard as well. However, we have a product set available with TM, known as the Data 2 range or the Data range, which allow us to incorporate that standard, but with their own portfolio. So this allows you to bring all of the luminaires onto a central test and monitoring system, fully compliant to BSEN 62034, the automatic testing standard, also 61347, the lamp and control gear standard, and 50581. Also importantly, with this particular product, it's compliant to the low voltage directive as well, 63000-2018, as well the technical document assessment. The low voltage directive is particularly important because obviously this will help in terms of installation costs of the actual system itself, and it also helps them with the scale of the size of systems that you're able to put together from this one head end. So just as a general overview, which is actually better on the next graphic, the central stations can have 64 fittings per system with 4 channels. Then you can put up to 16 Seabridge signal distributors to add on top of this, which are basically signal splitters for those who are used to lighting control systems, which allows you to have then up to 4,096 luminaires from one central system, which then monitors all the parameters of the fittings and can also then work in cooperation with smart building systems as well, so giving you a complete solution. They then have the Elvis intelligent interface, which is the central platform to remotely monitor everything which is going on that particular system. So that then looks after the automatic reporting, automatic testing schedule, the group setting. It has licensed access depending on the security levels that you want to give to different people who are going to be maintaining that particular site. You can also then do a 3D view of the actual installation itself, so you can build that up floor by floor, depending on what the installation is, and have that then as a graphic actually in terms of locating exactly where those luminaires are on that particular installation. Obviously, in terms of the key criteria it looks out for, aligned with the 62034, the standard, it looks after the communication status, the power status, the 2 different testing options in terms of the duration test and the functional tests, the batteries, and the light source as well. So just to recap now on the points that we've focused on, sort of 5 key criteria as far as we're concerned as a business. So quality and compliance being the most important. The products are fully compliant to the standards, but they then take that to the next level when they have ENEC and Kite Mark approval across the board on all of these products. And we fully believe that there should be some level of third-party certification attached to products, that CE products, although are safe for operation, have not gone through the second level of testing, which should be attributed to a product which is safety critical. And with ENEC and Kite Mark, these are 2 globally recognised certifications that you can look for. All of the test functions are available, which is obviously important depending on how scalable the project is that you're looking at moving forward. It may well be an instance where it starts off as being a DALI project, but then things happen along the way and it needs to default down to something else, but at least you're working along them with the same photometrics, the same product set that you can scale down if needs to be, or similarly scale up. Lithium battery technology, so embracing the most up-to-date battery technology which is available in the market, something which obviously according to the most recent iCELL statement has been defined as a suitable battery for this application. So we are able to get now the benefits of the longer warranty and the longer lifetime of this particular battery. We have a UK stock holding, and obviously then a close supply link with TM in terms of supporting further stock requirements for our customers. Obviously, more importantly than, or as important as a lot of the other points we've discussed, is the Primelight service level. Those who already deal with the business know the quality and the care that we take with our customers, so we can further support the emergency lighting range with that. There is the option as well to rebrand these products, so they are an OEM-centric solution for stocking, although it's worth mentioning at this stage that we can look at rebranding as long as it is not in detriment to any of the markings or the labellings on either the product or the packaging, which makes sure that these products are compliant to the standard. That includes the markings on the physical luminaire, which are things which need to be visible after the product has been installed. but also due to come into place on the 21st of September of next year, changes to packaging with emergency lighting. Now, you can't see it on the screen, but the current packaging that TM Technology supply these products in are compliant, in line already with those new standards which are coming in place in September. So that's where the product actually details all of the intricacies of the product, so the voltage, the application of the actual product, etc. So they're very much forward thinking in terms of making sure they're going to be applicable moving forward. And then, as I mentioned, flexibility of the products then to reduce stock, as we mentioned, that massively helps from a purchasing and a stocking point of view to ensure that you're dealing with as few SKUs as you need to achieve what you need to on the projects. So that's brought the presentation to an end in terms of the overview. I'm happy to go back through any of the particular areas that people would like to follow up on, or if anybody's got any questions in particular, this is the time to ask to have a follow-up. Obviously, I mentioned, of course, that we would like to put in a programme in place of more specific key topic areas moving forward. Obviously, following discussions moving forward, we can do that in line with what you need to hear about.
Ben, there are a few questions. If you wanted to just check the, can you just check the question section? First one is, what is the startup current required by the 230 volt LED? I can't quite see the rest of the answer. Can you see them, Ben?
I can't, not at the moment, unfortunately. Yeah, I just need to, sorry about this, so perhaps try and expand. Hi, well, deal with the questions I can see as we go through. So I've got one from Andrew, thanks for that. Hi, are you considering LIA endorsed products through iCell? The answer to that is yes. The process with the iCell at the moment means that we can't get certification for a product family. It's on individual products, and so we need to consider which products that we will put forward for that from each of the product ranges. Like I mentioned before, as I said, we have got iCell, ENEC and Kite Mark approval for these products already, but as a member of the LIA, we're fully behind the initiative for the iCell endorsement of these products as well. But I believe that should sort of become industry standard. So in answer to that questions, yes, we are. And we will one moment. Some of the questions aren't coming through quite right. Simon says, do you have a 4x4 hybrid mini central battery test something for? Yes, Simon, we do. In answer to that question, we didn't include it in the presentation today, so we're going to do one slightly separately for all of our different control systems moving forward. But yes, we have the Data 2 product that we discussed is also available as a central battery solution as well, with not DALI functionality, but the functionality of DALI to support that. So I'll be more than happy to have a run through that with you moving forward. Colin's asked, hi Colin, hope you're well. Is the central battery system for 24 volt? Yes, it is. In answer to that, I can send you some more information around that as we move forward around the data central battery test system. Again, all of the luminaires that we've spoke about, those are all applicable to those various different voltage levels. Do you have any emergency conversion kits 24 volt DC? I'm afraid we don't as it stands at the moment. We are focusing purely on a standalone portfolio at the moment, although TM are developing a conversion based solution as well. So as and when those are available, we'll do a separate presentation on those. Daniel's asked, could you please explain again the difference and business relationship between Primelight and TM? So yes, I kind of, we didn't cover that already. So yeah, we are working with TM Technologies exclusively to Primelight for our standalone self-contained emergency range. That's a relationship which began at the start of the year. Like Russell mentioned, I joined the business in January, so we went through a process of essentially vetting different manufacturers who we could work with, and following a visit at the end of February before the lockdown to everybody, we visited TM and established that relationship. Then we're truly sort of blown away by the facility. So hopefully that covers that question. Simon, how is your thanks for 2 questions. Simon, how is your pricing in relation to other market players? Obviously we won't divulge all of the ins and outs now, because yeah, it's information we'd like to discuss with you separately, but it's very commercially attractive, I will say that. That was obviously, again, another not the most important, but obviously a critical consideration in terms of what we were looking for in terms of the portfolio that we were bringing in. Obviously, the different strains of lumen output that are available with each of the different products allow that commercial offering to be tiered. But again, the most important thing is that people don't have to deviate from having a quality product to be able to do that. I know there is a inclination for people to bring in something which is perhaps only CE marked to sort of, you know, plug a gap at the lower end of the product offering. We feel that commercially and performance-wise with the range that we're able to more than compete with what's in the marketplace at the moment. But you know, not taken away from the fact that it is a joined-up solution approach in terms of what Primelight offer as a business. So the value in that as well must be added into consideration. Pat, sorry, I missed your question to start. I've seen you've asked that twice. Do you have any anti-ligature fittings for the healthcare sector? I need to check on that. I know that's an area of particular importance for you, but I have to check on the particular requirements for the healthcare sector. So I'm not sure on that right at this moment in time. We do have details of some of the IK ratings of the majority of the products, but any sort of specific requirements for that particular area, such as the brightness of the LED, I'd need to find a little bit more information about that, so I can come back to you separately on that, if that's okay. Where are we? Paul, hi Paul. Let's see if we can read your question, because this is one which comes up quite a bit. Have you come across emitting the green LED lamp in hotel guest rooms? I've certainly come across this being asked for. That's purely, I believe, from an aesthetic point of view. I know personally of products which have been supplied into the market where the LED indicator has been bypassed. However, what I must make clear is that that is a fundamental part of the luminaire standard, and so it needs to be included. The only instances where I've come across the green LED or even the red LED on a bicolor indicator being emitted is when that's then being looked after on a central addressable system, so a system similar to the TM data product that we discussed, because that way at least you then do have some reporting of what that particular luminaire is doing. If you can imagine, if you've got a manual test product, you don't have the ability to do that because the LED indicator is the only source of knowing if that product is operational. Simon, you mentioned you don't need emergency and hotel guest rooms. I think Paul's alluding to some of the larger sort of 6-star hotel rooms, and it's certainly something which has come up on some recent designs that that we've done. Not only specific to hotel rooms, it's something which has come up when people have been looking at that in difficult difficult applications as well. Yeah, Paul's just mentioned that, at least in it up and down the country. John, you mentioned an important point there, just regards to lithium technology in general and some of people's concerns about using lithium technology. So I'll cover that in 2 ways. In terms of promoting a life safety product into the market, You want to ensure that that's one which is going to be compliant. Now, it was only, if I say 8 weeks ago, that might be a stretch, that iCell came out with the official statement to say that lithium batteries in application were suitable for use. But again, that's not everything in terms of the process. So you have to be confident that the battery which is being sourced has been sourced from a diligent supplier of that battery, which we're confident through TM and the suppliers that they use that is the case. But yes, in terms of elements such as thermal runaway and things like that, which lithium batteries are known for. I mean, people will be aware of the issues with Samsung's phones and the Dreamliner, which was grounded a couple of years ago, I think that was now, and there was a big stigma then attached to lithium batteries. The best way I can sum this up is, and it's the same with any battery technology in emergency lighting applications, you have to make sure that the technology, that the electronics matches the battery technology. It was the same when we looked at nickel metal hydride, when we needed to have a pulse charging regime versus a constant charge regime with a NiCad battery pack. You have to make sure that those two technologies marry up. And I can assure you that all the precautions have been made with these products to ensure that that's not the case. So see if we can pick out some more. You're having a little bit of a conversation here with yourselves. Yeah, Paul, you mentioned there we've come across different opinions of up and down arrow legends. What is your view? The view is dictated by the standard, of course. What I can say is, in terms of the legend pack, which is supplied with all of the TM products, so that includes the OnTek S, that includes the OnTek G, and includes the OnTek E, that they're supplied with 4 different legends, so a left, a right, and an up and a down legend as well. So any of those issues that you come across in the short term, why people decide on that, you have there available to you. There's a lot of other, obviously, exit sign solutions available in the marketplace. However, a lot of those products mean that you have to order a separate legend to go along with the exit sign itself, which from a stocking point of view becomes a nightmare, but also from a project point of view means that you have to find out all of the intricate details potentially on an installation, which may change from the original design stage. So to have that flexibility in terms of the product that you'll receive allows that element to be covered. Another question which is coming is around wireless options. So we won't be covering that today, but I can tell you that the roadmap is in place for a wireless solution of the data product to be launched using Bluetooth mesh. And we'll be doing a separate, more in detail follow-up as part of our program moving forward. But we expect that to be available before the end of June. Just see if there's any other questions that we've missed. I think that seems to cover everything.
Then there was a couple of extra questions. So one of them was off-site and modular construction markets. Do we have the ability to supply a configured solution that would meet a holistic set of approvals, linking emergency requirement, but overall lighting setup in a modular configuration?
I think in answer to that, the short answer is yes. Obviously, the emergency lighting products are manufactured in accordance to the standards that we highlighted previously. Each of those standards considers not only the manufacture of the product, but obviously the application that's going to be supplied in. So whether that's the type of application that was mentioned, or any application, the overriding element is that the product is compliant to the emergency lighting standard, and that does sit as its own separate entity to then incorporate into any type of installation that you're going to be looking at moving forward.
And there was a second follow-up question to that, which was in residential developments. Nathan sees that we have very discrete products available, and as legislation is rightly increasing, do you see emergency lighting for residential becoming the norm?
I think, yeah, well, whether I think it's the norm is a bit of a sweeping statement, so I'd rather not sort of make an impression of exactly where I see the standards going. So I think that opens up a little bit of a can of worms. But certainly, you know, of course, we're all aware of what occurred at Grenfell, and often it is a incident like that. It was similar in Holland, which sort of brings compliance of products right to people's attention. So you know, I do believe that there is, or certainly have seen, a trend more to people saying, right, shall we ensure that we've got overkill in terms of the emergency lighting, especially in shared accommodation and these types of installations. So although I'm not completely au fait with the residential standards, I do know that, as far as I'm aware, it's not a full requirement, but I can see a trend of these products moving into that place, into that marketplace moving forward, certainly. And I know, obviously, in these difficult times, that, you know, some of our customers have certainly started exploring, you know, residential applications, you know, away from the more you know, standard industrial and healthcare type applications that we've looked at before. But, you know, as Nathan rightly mentions, it's important that we have something which is discreet, you know, aesthetically pleasing, that you can use in these different types of applications. And certainly the TM product portfolio allows us to hit that criteria.
Okay, and an additional question at the beginning, which is, do we know the startup current required by one 230 volt LED as opposed to the running current? And do we use current limiters to avoid the need to oversize the inverter or use smaller LEDs per circuit?
I'm afraid I don't offhand, but something that I can come back to Christos on. Obviously, we're aware of power consumption and these types of elements. And more sort of intricate details like that, I can certainly find out for Christos and come back to him a little bit later on. Apologies for not having that to hand. Simon, you talk about, you've asked a few more follow-up questions to the wireless option. So in answer to both of those, remote access and multi-site options, the answer is yes. Cloud-based reporting solutions is, I believe so, but I'll be able to confirm that to you. We're still waiting for all of the information to be shared with us around the full operation of the wireless system. What we do know is it will follow the same footprint as the rest of the data range, so using the same software package, but in terms of the cloud-based reporting solution, I'd want to get you a definite answer on that before committing. At the moment, remote, yes. Cloud-based, I would need to check on. Any more questions? Thank you, Christos. Got that. I can see your email, which is your email address, which has come through there. Please shout if I've missed anybody else on there. I know I need to go back to Pat on that particular question. We've covered John's question, Nathan, I believe. Is there any more points there anybody would like us to cover?
I think we're good there. For those of you that are still with us, I'd like to personally thank you for attending this today, and hopefully it's been informative and that we can have some additional conversations with you in the not too distant future. Thanks again for coming.
Yeah, thank you very much, everybody. Much appreciated.